Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Pokonjre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, hey, in diaspora, current affairs, hey, reliable information, history, talking about culture, hey, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jah, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of Friday Night Debate, we're going to be looking at some current issues taking place in our country, starting with, the infighting at the LDEA, that's the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency. They are fighting, cursing, letter writing, all kinds of things going on there. We're going to look at that. We're going to debate who's responsible or what is responsible for this. You know, my boss used to tell me I need one neck to choke. So who should we choke for what happened or what has transpired at the LDEA? 2, the ban on the Western cluster using the road. That ban has been lifted. They say the government of Liberia restores the Western cluster road user permit 1 month after it was revoked. That permit to ply the road from the Western cluster in Bombing to the free port of Monrovia, that has been lifted. We're going to talk about that. Also, the wife or former wife of Liberia Sports Ambassador Sajo Kebe, the wife is Sajo. Sajo has complained that the advisor to the president, Madam Magdala Cooper, and the sports ambassador are engaging in bigamy. That's why I brought the lawyer. We want to look into that. And whether this issue should it even be discussed at this level. We're going to talk about that. Last but not the least, the motorcyclists were told to get their insurance. You know, they have series of things that they're supposed to do now based on the new regulations. Well, they went to the transport ministry and some of them have been issued fake insurance. The one responsible allegedly has been arrested and charged by the police and sent to court. We're going to discuss all this. I want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. Let me welcome Attorney Wanda Konyere Fremont to Friday Night Debate. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here.
Great. And let me also welcome Father Elijah B. Washington. Father Washington, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Jah. It's a privilege, and I'm glad to be on the show today.
Also, let me welcome from the nation's capital, Mr. Jimmy Eastman. He's a co-host right here on Focus on Liberia. Welcome, Jimmy.
Thank you, Mr. Jah. It's a pleasure being here with these astute gentlemen.
Thank you. Let me also welcome the self-styled strong broadcast supporter of Mr. Aliyu Samba Kamara, but he's been consistently supporting JNB, and he's the big promoter of the parables and the proverbs that the president. Welcome, Aliyu.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored again to be here with Washington. This is my first time actually interacting with Freeman, and I hope Mr. Eastman, him, I said we love each other. You know, that's why we fight. So, but it's good being on here again.
Let me welcome all our viewers from across the globe. If you have not done so already, please share the show, invite a friend, and let's get started. We started yesterday, Aliyu, on this whole LDEA. We see that the three leaders, the boss, and the two deputies all being suspended pending investigation. This was based on a letter that the two deputies wrote to the MOJ, that's the Ministry of Justice, and a meeting was held where they were told not to bring in their guns. That was defied, and what happened was a scuffle and insults and exchange of insults and everything else.
Okay, somebody's door is barking.
Why do we have this, Aliyu?
Well, I think it's a conglomeration of things. What happened on Monday, I believe it was, something that came out of something that have existed. That was just a pre-existing. And it just happened to get to that spot where it had boiled to the highest degree. I think three of them, the three guys in charge of the LDA, are somehow responsible or somehow reliable for what happened. I think the DEA boss obligation in this is that he has not been able to actually lead from both the front and the back. And what do I mean by that? He hasn't been able to engage these guys in the back to actually diffuse their momentum. Because I think their momentum is kind of misguided, but due to maybe inexperience, especially for Fatiga. But you know, tooth for tooth, eye for eye. Those kind of philosophy are not very pragmatic when you're dealing with people. I mean, with national issues. I think that was part of his fault. He did not really take the lead according to how he should take it. He was more of an iron hand, and it has to be my way. Even though his intention is good, I think that has been his fault. However, what happened on that day was unfortunate. I don't want to go into the security intricacies, but from an administrative standpoint, I don't think he should have been suspended at this particular point in time for that particular saga. If anything, they could have said, okay, maybe you are suspended for this letter pending investigation if they saw merit in that letter. But for what we saw, I think it was a gross insubordination, and those two guys should have been dealt with decisively and not to just cast a general punishment into this regard. But I think the whole thing derives from perception. I don't think they know each other very well individually, and there was some unethical behavior there.
Ali, before I let you move to the next, I mean, the two things that happened and say, well, because of that letter, there was tension. And to solve that problem, Director Krumah is saying, don't bring gun in my office, right? As if only in your office they can shoot you.
But you see, Dennis, when you already bypass, like for instance, you're my supervisor on the job. I go into your office in and out on the job. But then you find out that I have bypassed you and have gone to your manager to complain you. And then I come towards your office and say, man, for whatever reason, don't bring that paper or your shoes. Don't step in my office with your shoes. I know.
I mean, I was expected to say, don't come in my office at all, but don't come with gun.
Whatever it was, I, as a rational human being, knows exactly what's going on. There is fire. I know my supervisor is angry based on my action. To avoid problem, I will not go to his office at all. So I think Fatiga and the other guy was not very. I know people want to speak different legal connotation of it, but I think they themselves were ready to challenge their boss. They themselves were ready to take this to a whole nother level. And I think whether or not the approach was right by AB to say, don't bring gun in my office, I would have concluded or deduced that maybe my action He's trying to tell me he don't want to see me. So you know what? I'm gonna just walk away. But they refuse to do that.
Father Washington, you follow the case. Who's at fault here?
Well, there's something in psychology we call the sludge fund. When something it's suppressed and it's heated, it bursts when the time comes. And what I see happened to the LDEA, it's a lack of leadership from Kroma, and that lack of leadership kind of boiled into hate subordinates trying to express themselves, and the only way they could do that, and they thought to just go at him. I think that's something they've been keeping, and probably they've tried talking to him about it. Probably he didn't listen, so they went to the higher authority. And when he called the meeting, hoping that they would sit and talk, he had said that, okay, we come to have a meeting, but before you come to this meeting, I will advise that you do not bring your guns. And that's where the whole situation starts. So for me, I think it's just lack of leadership. And one of the things I see also is that his subordinates I kind of want to also show that they're doing something at the LDEA, and every time they listen to the newspaper, it's all about, oh, Abraham Kurma is the one who's doing it. He's the one who's doing it. They want their names to also be heard. So there's something like, oh, this guy's the only one who everybody's talking about since he came to the LDEA, and the LDEA is making progress because of him. But we are, as well. We are the one working. So why is it everything? And so there's some little bit of envy there. So they try to express themselves. So for me, I think it was not handled well. And when he said to them, hey, do not bring your guns to my office, or I would say to them, okay, then we're not going to have this meeting. But immediately he said they should not bring guns to his office. They started lashing out. That's something that was already there. So they started lashing out. And they started saying to him, oh, you've been doing this for long, so this is not going to happen. You're kind of disrespecting us. And when they started doing that, all I expected him to have done is to, okay, you guys don't want to have the meeting, let us go back to your office, we will reconvene. But then he also got into it and started responding to them. So that just kind of aggravated the situation, and it got into what it got into. So for me, I think all of them should be held responsible. And if I were to make recommendation, I just think that they should not stay work for the LDEA. They should be fired.
All three of them.
Correct.
I think Konyene Frimo, does this show that does this have anything to do with whether these people really actually understand their role as leaders of the DEA?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that in the process of analyzing the behavior, we have made no reference to the internal regulation. What does the internal policy say? Because that is how you will know somebody was in violation or not. Okay, I don't think the words from a person's mouth, be them director or minister, becomes law. It becomes law if it was existing and standing as at the time the conduct occurred. So AB cannot be making the laws as he go along. It must have been a regulation already in place that they were in violation of. I don't remember that. As much as I would love to see the drug war, go ahead, but I think, like I always advise, we have to do these things in the framework of regulation, because that's how you create institutions. In Africa, we focus on personalities, and we always look forward to the big man. So we have a drug problem, so we get one big man, AB Proman, to solve the problem. No. The more we create rules and regulation, the more we create institutions that are stronger, far more stronger than the personalities. So was there a standing policy of how do you enter a meeting, or how do you go to a meeting, or whatever? Is that a rule that was standing? I don't think so. I think it was just a rule that AB made up as he go, because he was the big man there and people had to abide by his order. And what happened in these circumstances, when people choose not to abide by it, then there comes a problem.
Wow.
Jimmy.
Yeah. Mr. Ja, one of the tenets of any organization, military or paramilitary, is to first uphold discipline, respect for hierarchy within the order, within that organization. Now, a leader can undermine his authority by his actions. Not everybody who is an effective policeman or effective soldier is a leader, because if you can easily undermine yourself by what you do, by what you say in the eyes of your subordinates. And it's clear that the audacity shown here by Mr. Fadiga is showing that he no longer has respect for his superior officer, which is Mr. Kroma. Now, as a leader, okay, what you do, you do two things. You advise him what the rules and regulations are, and if he can't abide by it, then you know the disciplinary actions to take against him. It should never degenerate into a kerfuffle or whatever they had there.
Correct.
It should never degenerate. It is showing lack of leadership. And I owe it to, you have to be secure as a leader. You have to be secure in your authority. And when you say this should be this way, and you are being challenged by an underman, then you're supposed to follow the due course. And when it is decided, you reprimand that underman so it will never happen again. So I see the attorney was alluding to, I don't see the application of the rules and regulations. How can you have an organization and then you don't uphold the rules and regulations? What is going on here? It's all about personality and not the rules. We don't have institutions, Mr. Freeman. We don't have institutions. We don't. Because if we had institutions, we'll know how to deal with this thing here. It will not be about personalities. And that is what's wrong. And we playing nationhood. We playing president. We playing with ourselves. Because until we establish authority and institutions that abide by what they believe, we take a creed, they take an oath. Until we begin doing that, we're just playing. We don't have an organization. All we have.
So Jimmy, are you implying that because there was no rule, that's why AB did not enforce that rule? Was AB making it up when he says, "Don't come to my office with guns"?
Okay, very good. Let's examine the case. I don't even believe that's a rule that an officer does not enter the commanding officer's room with an arm. I don't believe that is a rule. However, if he had concern of this man doing something with his arms, which reason why he brought it up, then he should have known to go about it in a different way. If you didn't want the man to come in your office, just what you were saying, you would say, I'm busy right now, do not come in my office. Okay? But do not come in my office with a gun? That is alluding to something. And if I were investigating this case, I would ask, why did you make mention that he shouldn't enter your office? You will have to give me the reason. And from the reasons you give me, I will know how to pursue the case further. If there should be a criminal indictment, do you have evidence of somebody trying to bodily harm you? What provoked this? I mean, it's all over the place. And I can tell you there's a breakdown in authority over there. And once you lose respect of your undermen, it's hard to get it back. It's very difficult to get it back. I think he can still serve a purpose in criminal and in defining criminal and going after justice, but he has undermined his own authority. You have to know how to walk the line of a leader, or you lose all confidence from your people.
Yeah. Father Washington, in these paramilitary areas, they say duty before complaint.
Yes, and that's why I disagree with those who talking about rules. And I mean, when you work in an institution, as things unfold, there are things there. That's how policies are developed. It's not everything that has to be in the book. I mean, there are some things are just common sense. And if I'm going to my boss office and I have an earphone in my ear, and my boss say, "Oh, did I come to the office with an earphone?" I mean, I wouldn't come to the office with an earphone. I mean, just common. Why would I become an issue that my boss tells me don't come to my office with an earphone, or don't come to my office because your phone is on music? I would just abide. I would just follow. Or if for some reason I think I don't want to go there, just like I need to keep my earphone and I'm not going to come to the office. Why would that be an issue that you just go back to something that you had against him? Probably he has never respected you in the past, and now this is the opportunity to come at him. This guy's been doing it for all these time we've been here. Now he started doing. Now we're going to come out. It's got to a point now that we must do something. So that's why I think that they should be held culpable, because they didn't respect your boss. Even if you don't like you already written a letter to the Minister of Justice. So for one reason, if he doesn't want to come, say again, this is a clear manifestation of what we've written in our letter. We've come here. He's asking you not to do this. This just proves to you what we've been saying. But to just go to the extent where now you're like, okay, we got to just do the thing on our own. We just got to just take the law into our hand. We just got to just go after him and get in. And that's what I saw coming. So for me, I think they also disrespect him.
Yeah, then there's a point there. I want to re-emphasize a point there. Look, I think in the security sector, the issue about people being in possession of their arms or whatever is key. And trying to disarm somebody is a kind of disciplinary procedure in a way. So no, that's in the security sector. If you are, I'm just making a point. I'm just making a point. If you're in the security sector, right? If you're in the security sector, I'm not a security man. I'm just saying something. Security people can correct me. Trying to disarm somebody is like, they're violating a certain law and you're trying to discipline them. I'm just saying, if you run an institution, right? If you're going to run an institution, the rules cannot be by virtue of what you say orally. And let's assume if they violate it, then you will do a communication and follow an administrative procedure that will lead to discipline. But you cannot forcibly try to, that is the thing that we need to get out of Liberia, that we need some kind of big man to solve a problem. No, let's go back to running our institution according to rules and regulations. So, okay, guys, this is in violation of our policy. If you insist, then there's no meeting, and then you refer the matter to the administrative maybe aspect of your institution that try to correct these things, and they can come out with a ruling that you can use. But to attempt to force it, because in Liberia everybody look up to the big man, and the whole drug business have been about what's his name, AB Kroma.
Let me come in 1 minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on. Let him finish, because I want to go to Victor.
Yeah.
He already finished.
I don't have a side, but it shouldn't be about personality. I insist. It must be about rules and regulations.
Exactly.
And even if there are differences, it is the rules and regulations that will be used either to penalize or not penalize somebody, but not by virtue of somebody's oral statements.
Let me go to Victor.
Dennis, let me say something quick. I think there's just bad information here. Bad information. Forcibly disarm someone.
Yeah,
none of these things were the case. Dennis, I want you to play the video. The part that this man talking about that somebody being forced to be disarmed. Let's watch the video, see who was forcing themselves where. Fatigue guy was forcing himself there. If I went to your office door, I'm at the door. You inside. You already got men in your office, and you said you can't come in my office. And I try to force myself in that office. You call that forcing men to disarm him? Let's not get wrong information.
No, it's this. All right, let me go to Victor first.
Thank you.
Victor, throughout this kerfuffle, there was no mention of rule being violated or any reference to say, well, according to the handbook, you shouldn't be doing this, and so you have violated this. So these are the steps we're going to take to rectify this situation. Instead, there was a scuffle. and Fadiga was disarmed, and it looks like his cell phone were taken away. Was this something within AB's power to do, or was it legal?
I really don't know as to his legal or legitimate authority to have done this. I assume they have their own in-house operating procedures. But there are just a few things I like to mention here. One, uh, being fully aware of the existing bad blood, right, between the director and his two deputies. One, I think inviting them to his office for a meeting was a wrong move. It appears to me the whole intention was to disarm these gentlemen because he knew they would come to the office armed because, again, of a pre-existing disagreement. And so I would have scheduled a meeting with them at a neutral place if that was possible. That's one. Two, the two deputies, I don't understand the insistence on coming into an office where they were being asked to disarm themselves or be disarmed. They didn't have to come to the meeting. They could have just said, okay, you invited me, and this is my arm or my uniform, whatever it is. I reserve the right to carry it. If you're not going to let me, then I'm not coming to the meeting. But it seems that though, the two sides were out to prove a point to the other. And eventually we're all seeing now where all of this has led. I think egos got in the way. And I think the president, this time I have to agree with him to have sent the three of them home to go home and reflect. And I hope at the end of the investigation, the three of them, they should, I hope they will find somewhere else to work and not at the LDEA, because I think the atmosphere they created over there will be difficult for any of the three of them to function more effective. Because, like it or not, they all have their followers at the agency. So whether A.B. Croman comes back and how Fadiga people will behave towards him, or whether Fadiga comes back and how A.B. Croman people will behave towards him, we have no idea how this is going to happen. And this is something we really don't need. It's not like they're the only qualified people in the whole world who could work at this agency. I think they just created a very, very difficult working atmosphere at that agency. I think the three of them need to go home and reflect on what they've done.
Yeah, they've gone home. Glendy, welcome. That's the champ. Glendy, you follow this issue. From what you see, what was Abraham Croman, the director, what was he trying to accomplish by this policy, which many are now calling on the fly? I said, don't bring arm in my office. What was he trying to accomplish here?
So, hello everybody. It's good to be on. I think A.B. Croman also aggravated the situation, because if this wasn't something that they were used to, or this wasn't something that they were told off ahead of time, they already had, no one can deny the fact that they already had some bad blood. They already had some stuff going on. So to immediately come and say, don't come into my office with arms, and they've been going to the office before, I think he made the situation worse, because they had no prior knowledge of this. But equally, so even though he did that, I think also their response was a bit hard. It's like, if this is my office, this is my space, even if he was wrong, which I think he was wrong to kind of do that with all them having prior knowledge, they could have said, okay, then we'll step out of your office. But it's like, two wrongs don't make it right. I think if you wanted this to be a policy or to be a new process, they should have been informed ahead of time. So the burden rests on him as the leader. He should have acted in a different way than the way it occurred. So I think he was responsible for whatever transpired, in my opinion.
But let's remember, he's the boss, right? And this is a command structure.
Yes.
He's the supervisor of these two deputies. Regardless, they were appointed by all were appointed by the president. I read the act that created, and it gives the director general too much power.
Yeah.
Right. So if the director say, "Don't come in my office at all," what's wrong with that? That's his office.
I get that. I'm saying there's nothing wrong with that. But these people were already, you saw them already initially, they were already, there's something that's been brewing between them already. And to just come abruptly and say, what, we don't know, maybe the day before they were in his office with guns. So we don't know that. And to just, and we don't have any prior knowledge to say this is something that he told them, don't do this. We can assume that this was the first time they were hearing him say that because of the way they reacted. It's okay now. I could say if they had behaved in a better way, they would have said, okay, then we're not going to come in your office, and then just walk away. But they didn't do that.
That's no the other deputy did that, right? Even though
he was upset and left.
Yeah, he used all the foul language, and and I talked to a law enforcement officer because they try to imply that, hey, that's how we talk. Say, no, nobody talks like that. You don't insult your boss and say that's the language. But Jimmy, investigation. Do you trust the investigation? Because we have had so many investigations, and then sometimes, even though it's so early for this administration, but do you
I want to tell you,
investigation will get to the bottom of the issue?
Yeah, there's been some false moves or bad moves. You know, when this thing started, one of them should have been transferred immediately. You know, I don't know. It's just, we do not know administration. We do not know anything what to do. Soon as this thing started, one of them should have been transferred immediately. But they didn't do it. They said, y'all go back there. And it's boiling up. Now they're fighting. They're afraid of each other with arms. All these things should have been detoured.
And Jimmy, if you don't mind, and I was shocked to have learned that the director actually recommended one of his deputies. I mean, that in itself, I think, kind of created the atmosphere of him feeling that Fadiga men have been beholden to him, and he actually expressed that.
Yeah, he's been saying that several times, but still, he wear the flag. He works for the Liberian government. Doesn't work for it. I'm not in that your loyalty thing. So if I see you doing wrong, that means I'm not blow the whistle. No, I don't buy that. And you could, and I believe you're right. He feels a certain obligation, that Fadiga has a certain obligation to him. But there's some impropriety going on in that organization, and it has to be curtailed. It has to be corrected, and the only way to correct it, I kind of like the fact that everybody's suspended. You know, because now that's the disciplinary action. Now we're going to see the effect of the disciplinary action. I think that was a wise decision. But what is necessary going ahead? We have to build these integrity institutions. We have to build respect for them and undermine that over there. They need to know that if this sort of behavior is not tolerated, if you do it, this is what will be your action. So it was an excellent move to have them suspended, so that if anybody in the future repeats a similar action, they know what is going to happen. But it should have been avoided a long time ago by simply transferring one of them.
Ali, I want you to close on this so we can move on to the next. There was when I was in this man used to always say,
only because Elliot took some of my time, I'll take some of his time.
All right. So there was this man who always tell his wife, there cannot be two trousers in this house. It appears, and we saw that in the argument when Fadiga said, hey, they tried to measure what they were doing in America. Oh, in America, I was more than you. In America, I was doing this more than you. So it appears to me that they don't want two trousers in that house.
Yeah, I can relate to the two trousers in one house thing. I don't allow two trousers in my house either. But listen, look, Dennis, let's just be honest here. This was gross insubordination on national TV. Dennis, anywhere in the world, even if it's in the Middle East, even if the boss is wrong.
And Ali, what do you think was the intention? Because Fadiga was the one who recorded it. We saw another instance in Nimba where this lady attacked another lady and recorded, right?
Yeah.
Was that the
What he
same?
wanted to do was to disgrace him. He thought he wanted to disgrace AB. Let's just for the argument's sake say AB doesn't have the right to tell somebody don't bring slipper in my office. Let's just say he does not have that right. If I'm standing outside your door, Dennis, I already see men in your office, according to me, that I do not recognize to even be employees of the institution. But I insist on going to your office anyway to prove a point. What am I really looking for? And then I'm recording it too. What am I really looking for? I don't think AB should have been suspended along with them. I think first of all, you put all of them on the same level when you do that. They should have used a whole different approach. AB should have been there with, but at a later date, not all of them together. Now, if you put them back there, the disrespect will even be more because you are showing equilibrium.
And number of years he took away your time.
Yeah.
So
No, I absolutely disagree with him at first.
Yeah,
I think as the lead, as the tip of the arrow, I think he bears a greater responsibility even than the two deputies. And as Glendon just indicated, and as Jimmy has also indicated, I think he kind of precipitated this. I think he created a condition for what transpired on TV. There are instances of the letters and all of that written. So I think he was fully aware of the tension that was brewing, and in the face of all of that, to have invited these gentlemen to his office to disarm them. I mean, yeah, he's the boss, but they're his deputies. I mean, they
but
just
Dennis, correct him now. He didn't call them to disarm them. Correct him. He did it wrong.
So whatever he did that angered them, Mr. Kamara, I think he himself it was intentional, and for that, I think he taunted his deputies, and for that, I think he also I think it was good that he was suspended. But I wanted to quickly mention the point you asked Jimmy. I think he got so carried away by what transpired, he forgot to address the question of the investigation. And I wanted to just quickly add, with all due respect to this government, it looks that their idea of investigation is the pretext to do nothing. Because we can go back to the February Armed Forces Day, women, whatever it was, to whatever it is, to Tapper going to the office, to everything that has transpired, to the B mountain. All of these investigations, we have heard nothing. And mind you, investigation is not the end of it.
Was concluded,
when
right?
the investigation ends, what are the actions that are taken? It's not just doing the investigation and making a report. What are the corrective actions taken? I don't think we have any history of any of this under this government.
Glenn, do you trust that this investigation is going to bring out the truth and we'll get to the bottom?
No.
And do something about it too.
No.
Why so?
I mean, we've seen other investigation. We haven't heard anything. So listen, the 100 days is over. We need the government to work. We need to see what they're doing. We need to know what's happening. We're not going to be in the campaign more in the mode that we support Joseph Boycott. So when we see stuff not being done, we're not going to say it. We've really not heard anything from the army people. We haven't heard any report from the inaugural committee. None of those things. So on what precedence am I going to say that this one will be investigated fairly and we'll hear about it? I can't say that.
On that note, we want to say this is Friday night debate. Let's go to the next one, which is Western Cluster. I mean, this was a big deal, but Western Cluster, the president went, when he was on that side, he saw the bridges because these guys were zooming their trucks throughout the city and going to the Freeport. So there was a ban that you can use this road. You are spoiling it. You're going to break down these bridges, right? But it's being reported that the Ministry of Public Works on Monday restored the Western Cluster Road user permit, which was suspended on May 3rd, 2024, following President Joseph Boakai expressed dissatisfaction over the manner in which the company continued to destroy the road with their heavy-duty trucks. He said, well, they are lifting the ban because they signed something, right? So there is hope. Anthony Freeman.
Yeah, Dennis, they made it clear that there was a violation of the road user permit They were damaging the roads, as you said. And the most likely this thing will lead to negotiations. But the same thing we are saying, what is the outcome of the negotiation? That should have been disclosed. Probably there were mitigating measures that were agreed to. But honestly, I don't expect anything much out of Mr. Walker. I mean, the guy was in the Senate as head, of the Senate there, and the most damaging thing in this country was done under his leadership. I come in, Dennis. What I'm saying.
I just want to add this before you continue. They say the restoration of the permit, however, is contingent on an agreement reached with the company to provide $200,000 for rehabilitation and expansion work on several parts of the road.
Where does that come from? Was there a public disclosure? Where does that information come from?
The newspaper.
I don't know. Maybe I need to see it. Okay. But those are the preconditions that will go into relieving it, But for now, I can't really say it because somebody's just providing that. But if they feel satisfied that for whatever reason they have had a renegotiation and there are mitigating measures, then that's it, because that's like administrative issues. You set preconditions, and if they meet the preconditions, they go back to status quo.
Father Washington, is it because every government, when it comes to power, most of the time they come up with these strong stances on issues, right? But as they get in there and see reality, they start to adjust. Is this what's happening here?
Well, I don't know whether in this case it's an adjustment, but I think this government has realized that Western Cluster is destroying the roads. So they have gone back to what the contract was and see the situation. So now they put a lot of the principles in place and say, hey, you used to, like for example, you used to move on this road. Like you used to have like 5 trucks moving every day. Now it's going to be reduced to 2. And you used to have on those trucks, you used to have like 10 loads of earth. Now it's going to be reduced to 3. And the reason why we're doing this because we think the more load you're taking, that's why it's destroying the road. So these are the things they have put in place so that. And then they also ask Western Cluster to be able to expand the roads as a way, to be able to not destroy the road. So yeah, they have put some things in place. So which I think is good. My only thing is that now that they've gone back to where they were, how are they going to make sure that Western Cluster does the right thing? That's all. The implementation. Make sure that you follow them to the letter. Everything that you said, that they follow it. And now you don't go to a stage where now they've paid the fine. Now they follow things, and now other people begin to go to Western Cluster and say, "Okay, start getting bribes," and then you just continue to do the same thing. That's all. But I think some of the things they've said, I think, it's in the right direction.
Aliyu.
Yes, sir.
Are you satisfied with this lifting this revocation?
I can only go with Washington. I think we can just hope that things were done right. And you see, what we're going by now is a headline, something that has some level of sensational intention. But knowing this government and the intent of this government, I don't think they just go and look at the paper and say, okay, come and take your paper and go back. I'm pretty sure a lot of things was put to place and agreements were made. So what I want to look forward to now is to see what goes on next, what happens after these guys start to do their work. We see what they will do and what they are doing, and then we begin to make judgment at that point.
Yeah.
You are familiar with that side of Liberia, right? Because you come from all these 3-4 counties.
Mm-hmm.
So are you satisfied with what is going on based on what you were hearing? Because we saw the demonstration, how the people were treated. And most of the time, their complaint is the government is working for these concession areas or concession companies, right? So based on what you're hearing from Cape Mount and Bomi, is this the right time to lift this ban? Because they have not widened the roads yet.
Okay, let me just say, I have never been satisfied with any concession in those areas from day one. However, Dennis, this is a government that have come with nothing, met nothing. At some point, you're going to have to meet the other side halfway get your footing in the door properly, and then begin to take some of the most crucial decisions. Then our people can say the way the tongue can juke you. If you pull it out that way, then as you bleed even more than the time the tongue juke you. So you got to study these things. It's more critical, it's more academic than just people seeing it on the surface. We can't do this thing. You can't run this kind of government from a country that is beyond terror and just run it based on public perception. It has to be done with real serious thinking.
Mm-hmm. And Glennie, this goes back to coming into office, because we don't expect the experienced Joseph Nyuma to come to government like the way the PRC came. So most of these things should already be studied and analyzed, and you know what you were getting into. But it appears to me, and I could be wrong, that they came and then they studied them. Right now, hey, to run this government, you need these concession companies maybe to give you money and to do X, Y, Z. We depend on their money. So we can just close them down. They have to operate. Does it appear to you that way, that they probably didn't evaluate the extent of what they were doing, and now they are coming to realize that we can't do this. We have to we have to at least meet them halfway, as you said.
I think so. I think as surprising as it is, I think there are a lot of things that they should have done beforehand, knowing that they were going to run a government. But as we're seeing, there are a lot of stops along the way. So those homework that they should have done, it's clear that it wasn't done now. So as they're moving ahead, they're these knee-jerk movements, they're trying to correct them, which is a bad precedent that they've set, because then they don't know how to move forward or what to do as they move forward. So I see that it was not properly coordinated, and there was no proper planning in some of the things they're doing. So they get there, they start doing it, they get stuck, and then they have to regroup to start again. But it's clear that everything was not in a proper perspective for them to be able to move forward. So they're having a lot of backdrops.
And Jimmy, there are other these concessions looking. We talk about accelerometer, the HPX, the B Mountain, and all these. What would this action? What implication will it have on what other concession companies?
Excellent question. This is the one time I will agree with Ali. What are these concessions doing for us? You see, when you invite concessions, you have to weigh the pros and the cons. Not because somebody's going to give you money, you're ready to put your children there and your wife and all those so they can sleep in your house. Because is that what you want to do? So when these people coming to us to for these mining concessions, we hope they will have job creation. We hope there will be some revenue generation. But we have to put in place guidelines, because we know very well there are cons. These entities can cause road damage, and who's going to bear the cost of repairing those roads? Public Works? Isn't that the public money? What about the safety accidents and all that? What about the air pollution, the ecosystem disruption, the noise? All these things have to be accounted for. And we have the other day we invited 3 doctors in mining engineer to the program, Dr. Mulaba and those other 2 guys, and James. And they know the consequences of these actions. But you still see government signing these bogus deals that are not beneficial to us. Why? The question is why? Is it so hard to tell them, look, if you go into mining, you have to build your own road, or you have to be responsible for the maintenance of this road? Is it so hard to tell them that? The only thing I can think of, somebody got some kickback and they same as usual. What is $200,000 to maintain? That can maybe one year. Those guys will be there for years and years and years. Why are we not writing contracts, agreements that will actually benefit us, and not only about the money? I get the analogy of taking money from somebody, putting your wife and children outside. Is that what we want to do? It's not that we don't have the brain and map, but what is going on? Somebody is selling us out. And we keep on being sold out. Administration after administration, Liberian people are being sold out. Their health, their children's future, we're being sold out every single time, as if we don't even know what we're doing.
I don't know what I should just add a little bit here. I don't know. But the thing is that sometimes, Mr. Eastman, it's not that these things are not in the agreement. For example, somebody comes and say, "Oh, I just want to take credit from your water," and that's the agreement. Now, as the person starts to take the credit from the water, they see fish. So they start to take the fish from the water. Somebody goes and say, "Oh, why are you taking the fish?" And they say, "Hey, come and hold this small thing, man. Let's take the fish. Not all we take it." Then somebody goes there and receives something, and nobody's doing anything about it. But it's not that the agreements are not there, but just that people keep getting money. The very representative, the very senators, the very superintendent, the very people who's supposed to say, "Hey, this is not what we agree."
Right.
Well, this
They
is what
close them down.
Yeah,
They close them down.
who's going to
Right, because if you do a proper analysis, you send people like we are Dr. Maluba and the rest of the folks here. That's what they're supposed to study, so you will know that there's fish there too.
Yeah.
So you don't think that just crap in the water, you know that there's fish. Let me bring in Mr. Nawi.
Yeah, Dennis, you know, I
200,000 to rehabilitate the roads. I
right.
don't know if this can build even the sidewalk.
No, that's just a fine. That's just a fine.
So, you know, my sister Glennie here said, you know, that it looks like, you know, some of these decisions are just, you know, flyby decisions, knee-jerk reactions, or whatever it is. But really, this is again one of those things that leaves you scratching your head with this government, with all of its professed experience, right? I listened to this president on numerous occasions, the last time being when he was in Texas, expressing his frustration with so-called investors in Liberia and what they do to the locality in which they operate when they leave. He talked about bombing holes, you know, and all of that. Then I sat down with him in Atlanta, and he repeated the same thing, that he's not just looking for investors who will come and take. He wants those people who will also help the community in which they operate. So when I heard this story about the Western cluster, I said to myself, okay, so I think this president, this is an opening for him to restructure, you know, review and restructure whatever it is that these people were supposed to do in where they're operating. There are reports that these people, they were supposed to build clinics, they're supposed to build schools. They haven't done any of these. So he suspends them, and the promise, now that they have already paid, is contingent. It's the future, you know, aspirational. $200,000. That's why they're giving them the permit to go back and take out millions that we all know they're taking out, right? They're taking out all of the natural resources. Who knows how many pieces of diamond or how many pieces of gold these people are taking out of this thing? I understand they have the ship up on the sea and they take a little yacht that will take it to the zone. Nobody really knows when they're processing these things what they're getting out. So I don't understand why we let them go back in on the promise of $200,000 when they already made a promise to build schools and clinics for the people, and they haven't done that. And we think this time they will do what? They will do better. I mean, I'm just really frustrated. I'm very disappointed with this decision.
1 minute, Kanye. Let's conclude on this issue.
Well, there is normally when you sign these international agreements, you're supposed to have routine checks, you know, and normally we have what we call the National Bureau of Concessions, which is supposed to be like a monitoring arm on concessions. So we have to ask, I mean, what role are they playing? But what you find is in a lot of these situations, we put people who probably have no idea what they should be doing. So you just have people occupying these positions, but not knowing, you know, the relative function. But yet you have the National Bureau of Concession, and they should be like monitoring the implementation of these concessions and raising issues.
And then
if you just join us, this is Friday Night Debate, and we are debating this current issue. One issue that came up is the level.
Let me close it in 1 minute. There's a lot of things said here that needs to be put in the proper perspective. Just for the sake of the audience.
Mr. Aliyu Kamara.
Yes. Listen, Dennis. Government is continuity. When you come meet a government, when you come and take over a government that has already signed contracts, you don't just beat your chest and go to that concession and floor everybody and remove them from there. You have to go literally, like we call it if you play football. You got to be facing a little patching, and get to a point where you have to review that contract before you take a decision. We have a great lands and energy minister who understands these things because he's a geologist. Okay, right now as we speak, the issue of illicit mining in Liberia has reduced.
Mr. Pitt is a geologist?
Yes, the issue of illicit mining in Liberia has reduced drastically since he took over. I want us to give him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, we have not seen this agreement yet. All we know is what's on the newspaper. Let's seek the details of this thing, and let's make a follow to make sure that the government plays inspectorial role.
Yeah, so I disagree with that completely. First of all, the president, if we're going to talk about continuity, then he shouldn't have gone there and given us the impression that he has the ability to review or close down that company. He shouldn't have given us false hope. That's one. Two, you're talking about the Minister of Land and Mining. There are reports that there's an Indian person, some fellow mining over there who was shut down, and yet he has about 9 security personnel guarding the place. He's still mining the place. So you talk about illicit mining.
Thank you. Let's move on to our next issue here, and that's the letter that came from someone who is married or was married to our sport ambassador. The letter came from, it's a Sajo Jawara. That's there. And it reads, what is it? I come seeking your intervention concerning 2 senior members of your government, Magdala Cooper and Sajo Kebe. Please consider this as a follow-up on my exchange with your Minister of State for Presidential Affairs pertaining to the involvement of these 2 in bigamy. My husband and I have been married for over 9 years since May 8, 2015, and we have had 8-year-old son. The latter asks me every time the opportunity arises where his father is, leaving me speechless. So it went on. He said, this ad by the 2 and reported to several in and out of your government, Senator Yomli Kanga Lawrence, Senator Abraham Deros DeLange, Senator Amara Connor, Stanton Witherspoon, Representative Emmanuel Dan, completely broke my family and left us in tatters. He continues, for your information, I filed a complaint against Kebe at the Paris Judicial Court for Family Abandonment, and I won my case on March 1, 2022. He was ordered to pay alimony, which he never started, and has therefore still not respected his judgment. He evoked the president's being a deacon. That's what she did. He said, I pray and remain hopeful that you will intervene in this matter, as well as set a precedent that will see any recurrence of such in your government. And I also want to mention that this letter CC copies went to the VP, to the pro tem, to the speaker, to Senator Connor, to CAF, the Ministry of Sports, and on and on and on. Let me start with Glendy, who's the only female on this panel. Glendy, should we even be discussing this? I mean, when I was bringing this up, some people said, Dennis, what are you doing? This is a personal matter. Why are you elevating it to this point? So I want to hold myself accountable and bring it here and say, should we even be talking about this, Glendy?
No.
Why so?
We should not. There are so many reasons as to why we shouldn't. Number 1, and primarily, it's a private matter. Number 2, she's addressed the government. She can also go to the courts and sue if she has a case. But I don't think this rises to the occasion of us discussing a private matter.
Jimmy, do you agree? Jimmy, can you hear me?
Repeat the question for me, I beg you.
The issue with
the
letter that she has written, should we even be discussing it? Or is this a private matter?
You're talking about which one of them now?
All right, let me, I will come back to you. Let me go to Victor. Victor, this letter that I just read from Sajo, and the letter is addressed to President Bouakai, saying that Magdala Cooper, who advises the president, has snatched
Oh, that one.
her husband, right? And this is considered bigamy. I will ask the lawyer to define that for us. But if you marry and you want to marry again, why still remain married? Is against the laws in Liberia. Mr. Nabo, should we even be talking about this? Do you
Well,
agree with
yeah,
Jenny?
and I think Jimmy perfectly heard what you say. He just tried to avoid discussing
You don't want to be a bother, yeah.
it.
You will be.
Well, you know, it's part of the matter, but the lady is alleging that an official in this government did something that is causing a split, you know, a separation in her family, and she called on the president's, you know, religious background as a deacon. This is something she thinks that you know you should you should look into. So I think they should look into it too. I was looking at the code of conduct. I think there's something in there. I think 10.11 that talks about anything that will bring embarrassment to the government. So I mean I think he should give it some attention. I don't know exactly what he's gonna do, but this lady is alleging this, and I listened to the gentleman on another network, uh, indicating that as far as you know, the marriage was annulled, but this lady is saying no, that's not true. So yeah, I think he should, you know, as it is with kids with everything in Liberia, the president is the father of the nation. So a female though is Senegalese, I believe, is in anguish, and I think he should do something about it.
Both are Senegalese, even though the husband claims to be Liberian, which I doubt.
Right, right. That too kind of confused me. I don't know if that's how people become Liberian by marrying. I don't know. Maybe.
But let's look at it this way: if it were a misconduct, let's say, or sexual misconduct on the part of a public official, should we be discussing it? I mean, what constitutes private and public? What level should it reach before we say, well, there's a public official, we should discuss it? I mean, we saw about Knuckles Gate. We've seen scandals. We've seen even infidelity by public official being discussed.
Yeah, I think it falls in the category of dishonesty. I think that's what I think it should be addressed in that manner.
How so dishonesty?
Who is dishonest here?
Well,
Let me go to Konyene for that bigamy.
Oh, I thought you was asking me. All right.
I think Konyene should be last because he's the lawyer on the one.
No, let lawyer talk, because we can go round and round. Let a lawyer talk.
No, Dennis, I wanted to understand the dishonesty part. I mean,
Well,
I'm confused.
So the lady is alleging that our advisor to the president, Ms. Cooper, is a friend of the family, right? And she has photos. She's been like a big sister to this lady. And so, as we all know, in this kind of relationship, you know, you will carry your marital issues to your big sister, and apparently she exploited the situation. She used, you know, this lady's disagreement with her then husband to insert herself. I think that is dishonest. Two.
So you're on the assumption that this is
but that is why
everything else is true based on what she has said.
But that is why the president should pay attention to it, so you can get to you can understand what is happening. But I think
could do that.
The number of people that she has listed, and yet nobody is giving her any. I think it's wrong.
Yeah.
I think somebody should pick this lady up and know and help her, you know, put her issue to rest. That's the point I'm making.
Koine, if this is this bigamy, if it is true?
I think the first question I want to ask, like, how did that communication get to the public?
It was released to the media.
By the lady or by President Bouaka?
I'm not sure.
But there are several people listed. Why would you just narrate it like that?
No, give me a break. I mean, it's important. The reason I'm asking has to do with the answer I want to give. It could be that she has written Bouaka in an elderly person capacity, or in a capacity as a deacon, to intervene with one of the officials that she has problem with. So if it were in that capacity, I would be surprised, you know. Okay. So she listed a whole bunch of people. So, but here's the thing. For it to be bigamy, what her name, the advisor has to be married to this guy, and or at least have to be giving the appearance that she's married to him.
Yeah, that's
And
that's
then
what
he, okay,
that they
good.
are married.
And secondly, her letter should be sent to the Ministry of Justice, not to President Walker. Because if it were bigamy, I'm making a point. If it were bigamy, that would be a crime, and the Ministry of Justice would be the appropriate initiating point. But it looks to me like a really private matter that has no value in the public discourse. I mean, I've been married for maybe 19 years or so. So, but I feel like this is a really private matter without taking sides or anything like that. I really don't see why she has to send that letter to like so many other people. But if she really wants to take it legally, then she has to pursue it as a criminal procedure.
I think she said she did. Let me hear from Aliu.
Yeah, there is. This thing, first of all, this thing is not a private matter. Public officials are involved. When public officials are involved and something is going on that has to do with integrity, it has to be in the air. It's not public, it's not private, it's public. And secondly, when you read that letter, then as you saw a portion of that letter where the woman said that she went to court, she won a case, and she should have gotten alimony, and the guy didn't give her alimony. How can you be married to somebody and collect alimony? You must be divorced to get alimony. That's number one. Number two, people talking about bigamy. Let's understand
a point of correction with the alimony thing. A point of correction.
That's for putting somebody you pay.
Yes, the alimony, they call it alimony pendenti light. So when your divorce case is going on, the husband still has an obligation to take care of his wife. So even in the absence of a divorce, you have to be paying that support until the divorce is
one kind of
I'm making a correction on the legal thing.
But your opinion. We don't have one type of alimony. That letter does not specify.
Yeah, so the alimony ends. Let me just clear the legal side. Okay. The alimony ends when the divorce ends. Okay? So if the divorce ended, he won't be obliged.
What?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
What are you talking about? Anyway, Dennis, there are several kinds of alimony. All right? Number one. Number two, when we talk about bigamy, tell me, doesn't Liberia have two different kinds of law when it comes to this? We have the customary and we have the constitutional law with regards to this. All right?
Don't go in that area too much. I said, don't go in that area too much.
I'm just saying. So to just make the broad statement and say, oh, it's bigamy, she cannot win this case in any Liberian court, because let's just assume, say, this guy is still married to her, but they got married culturally. They did not get married in court. They have no marriage certificate.
I mean, let's consider marriage to be marriage, right?
Okay. No. We cannot just do that, because we have different kinds of marriages. We do. We got common law marriages.
As long as it's legitimate. Forget about where it was done.
Dennis, marriage being legitimate in Senegal doesn't mean it's legitimate in America. In America, to be married, you have to have people. So we cannot just put one color of something on it. We have to specify here. So to say because she's married, let's just assume it's true that they are married, and then both of them have signaled that they are married culturally. Under Liberian law, the man will commit no crime.
Aliu, the woman said they have papers, they have certificates.
Okay, but she showed you letters. Let her show the paper.
No. We will come to that. Okay. We will come to. The woman is not here for us to ask. Bring what I was asking you is if that is true. If they have document that they are married, will it be bigamy?
Not under Liberian law. First of all, it is very complex, Dennis. It is very complex. if the wedding ceremony or the marital rites was constituted by tribal people under tribal arrangement, it's one of them things like internal affairs. My wife now, we got internal affairs certificate. We did not go to courthouse, but I can still go and marry Glendy under Liberian law.
No, but she said it did both.
She said it did both.
Yes.
Well, we can see letters that go to all government officials. We can see the marriage
She said
certificate.
they did both too. The husband said they went to the imam.
Right. That's the husband's side. The lady said they have documents. They have.
But the man have challenged her now go to court. She's not going to court. She
according to her,
she playing emotional games.
She's in court as well. That's what she said.
Yeah, okay, good.
And the man is not.
Yeah, but the correction I'm trying to make is that if this guy is paying alimony, it means the wedding or the marriage is still in force.
And that's what she's alleging, that he's still married.
Yes, because
But I don't agree with that.
I mean, you're not in the authority. Different person can agree with me, but on this one, you're not in the authority to disagree with me on this one. No, Aliyu, you don't have to. You don't have the authority to disagree with me on this point.
Every authority disagrees.
No. You got no standing. You got no standing to disagree with me on this one.
Okay, no problem.
You got no standing.
Am I the one speaking now?
Yeah.
Oh, Reverend?
Go ahead, Father
Yeah.
Washington. I don't know if they bring the two before you for counseling, what will you tell them?
Yes, I think there's something in philosophy called appeal to emotion. That's a fallacy of appeal to emotion. She's not presenting any evidence. She's just appealing to emotion because she's been hurt. She thinks she's being kicked out by another woman, so she's trying to find. Why is she not going to Senegal? Why is she not going to court? Why is she coming to Liberia to go to the
And
president?
how do you know that she didn't go there?
She did go to the court, but according to her, he refused to pay. Why? Why is the court not enforcing it? Because why? He said they are not married. That's why she's not enforcing it. That's why the court is not enforcing it. Because for him, they're not married. She's just forcing herself for him.
How the court in Paris? How you expect the court in Paris to enforce it when he's in Liberia?
Most likely the reason why the court is not enforcing because he has absconded.
No. He said he wanted to see his son in Paris. He wanted to see his son
6 months ago.
Yes.
That's what he says. So you don't have all the facts.
Why are you buying this woman's story and not buying his story?
I'm
Every time we say
Well, it's not a matter of buying a story. We have two sides. We can decide which side to follow.
Listen. Let me just say.
I'm asking the question.
Well, in the Me Too movement, I always believe the woman's side.
Whenever we say this is what he says, he says, oh, that's his story. But every time when it comes to the woman, he says, oh, the woman said this, the woman said it. No. The thing is that for me, I think it's just a waste of our time. If the woman has a case, go to court. Why are you coming to our country? Why are you coming to the president? Why are you writing all these letters?
He
Dennis,
works here. She can still come here.
Also,
there's nothing wrong with her coming to the country. There's really nothing wrong with that.
But
there's something wrong with that. Why is he
Father Washington, do you know the man works at the level of the Liberian government, high level of the Liberian government? You know that?
I do. So anybody who works at anybody who works in a place. So whenever you're having a problem with your wife, they should go write the president, right?
If I'm even
if that's what Lisa, then that's what Lisa. Maybe the woman trying to get her issues addressed. He's not in Senegal, he's in Liberia, so she's gonna go to the country where she can be able to get some redress because that's where he lives.
If he was in America, she would write Joe Biden, right?
According to the man, he's now a Liberian citizen, so she can come to his country.
That's not my question. My question is, if he had lived here and worked with the U.S. government, she would write Joe Biden, right?
That would be her choice.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with her coming to Liberia. There's really nothing wrong with her.
Dennis, I'm ready to call you now. I'm ready to call you now.
For me, if the woman thinks that there is an issue, go to the court. Why are you writing a letter yet? She's just kind of trying to make scene. If the woman has taken your husband and you are hurt by it, go to the court.
Thank you.
I'm ready to call you now.
Jimmy, go ahead.
You know, just tonight, this evening, I saw a video of Miss what's her name? Cooper, Miss Cooper, and she did some gesticulations with her hands, and she did it, and that means what we used to say a long time: cutthroat, no blood. Okay. She is very adamant about it. But let's be real. In civilized countries, when the scandals go on, Like, remember the case where Al Gore was running with this guy, and he will find out he had a girlfriend. One of the campaign people was his girlfriend was discovered. What did he do? He dropped out of the race. What I see with this, I'm not going to go who right or wrong because that's their personal affair. But we should see some people leaving government because of this scandal. We shouldn't bring disrepute to our country. This is a scandal. They need to go somewhere. They need to go somewhere.
Yeah, this is not.
It's bringing ill repute, and usually this is what happens. When these things come out like this, if they have been officially divorced, well, nobody can stop the man from going where he wants to go. Nobody can stop him. But from what I'm looking at in this case, there is some other thing going on. And the best thing we can do is to let them settle it in private. But I don't think it's a good idea by having people of questionable character in authority. It is definitely they will be compromised. And that's what this is all about. They will be compromised because they've already shown that's their character. So that's what's going to happen.
Don't forget, Dennis, you fought the CDC too, so don't forget.
Talking about integrity. So this man is a Senegalese. He came to Liberia through the wife now, Madame Cooper. He's working as ambassador. And so does that have anything to do with this story? Is it because that's the real story.
That is the real story.
Wait, the man is married to Miss Cooper, right?
Correct.
The man dissolved his previous marriage?
Correct.
So then why is it?
Huh? No, that is in question because if he's paying alimony, the issue of marriage dissolution is in question.
He has not paid.
That means even if he has not paid, but if that alimony is pending, okay, then that means the divorce has not been consummated. So he has an obligation.
What do you call we say pending?
That is not true.
That's not true. Why is called
man, you got no position to
forget about that. You're not talking the truth.
What is pending?
I have a friend that she wants alimony. She's fully divorced. So what do you mean just because you get alimony, you're not divorced?
Okay, go ahead, Ali.
So like I was saying, if he has completely severed his relationship, well, I mean, she can make appeal. But really, there's no legal bind here.
Mm-hmm. My question for you is because the man is working in Liberia as the sports ambassador. We
don't need that kind of ambassador.
But is this why this kid and that job he probably got through the influence of Madame Cooper?
We don't need that kind of listen. Exactly. An ambassador is supposed to bring
the issue.
Bring people to your country. They're supposed to be attractive. Man got a whole lot of baggage. That's not a kind of ambassador.
Well, I think there is a real legal question as to the president's capacity to appoint a non-Liberian in such a capacity.
No, he's an ambassador at large.
Okay.
Do we want somebody
so
that?
The president has that level of freedom to just foreigners to represent us, right? Okay.
And all right. So let me ask you, Smiley. So I know the people involved, were their character or past history or what they've been involved in matter. Like for instance, the gentleman was asked. He said he has 6 children. He was asked if he has those children, by the same mother, and he took offense. He said, "I have 6."
Yeah,
he was angry about that.
Why?
That is why he's so keen on the matter. It looks rather private to me.
So it's private.
What was the question? I want to answer.
Yeah, I feel like she was trying to appeal to the fact that Bwaga is a deacon, he's an elderly person. I feel that's how it is, because even the solution to what she wants is legal. So let's assume she had a judgment from the court in Paris. Now they could use that document and file a claim in the court in Liberia to recognize that judgment. And she could enforce that judgment under Liberian law once the judgment is recognized. So she has a solution. But this publicity thing is because she's trying to appeal to the president's sense of morality or so. And Bwaka has no sense of morality. So I don't know. She's not going to get it out of him.
I think the other question is why
there's so much evidence in the air that Bwaka had no sense of morality.
Why is this gentleman the most suited for this position? I think that's another question. I mean, we have a lot of Liberians who could really make better ambassador. I will argue.
But do you know the criteria for that office?
Never mind the criteria. What is this man? What is he bringing to the table?
It does depend on President Bwaka's discretion. Then
no, but President Bwaka represents me. We hire President Bwaka. He hired this man. I think we have a right to ask. The man has a language barrier. He's not Senegalese, whatever it is. So we have a lot of Liberians who play sports internationally, who I think will represent the country and do a better job than.
Victor, that's a poor argument, man.
Why listen to him then?
That's a very poor argument.
I know it is a poor argument, but I will make it anyway. So why is he? Did he come to this job only because his wife is in the government? That is the question I want to ask.
That's it. That's all.
There are Liberians who are better suited for that job than this gentleman.
But that's a different argument, right? It's not related to Sajo. Or are you trying to make that link?
I'm trying to make that link. I'm saying this is.
I want us to move on to our last topic for the night, and that's this whole thing about stealing. There is the motorcyclists. They want their insurance. They went to transport ministry and they sold them fake insurance. They said the insurance guys are outside the building, but then you go outside, pay for the insurance. You go back into transport with that paper, and then they stamp you, right? That you're good. So those guys, they were arrested by the police. They say, hey, your insurance is fake. They found out that was fake insurance sold to them. Police arrested now. I think they charged 3 persons at the transport ministry for fraud. That's one. I also see that, and while I was looking at that, it just occurred to me that just a week or so ago, the former religious advisor to President Weah, he too was caught in a fraud. He said they charged him for deception by writing, visa fraud, theft of property, and all that. And then we have another case where we have burglary at the Capitol building. I think it was like 5 offices burglarized, right? There's too much stealing on it. Before the show, I was giving you a story why they said Mr. G. Bacchus Matthew was moving with his followers, and they got to a car where all the 4 tires were stolen. And Bacchus Matthew remarked that the masses were hungry. With all this level of stealing and deception, what is going on? The masses hungry, Victor? Or is it some breakdown?
Yeah, I'm totally unaware of that story as being associated with Garrett Matthews, but
you think you are the biographer of Matthew?
No, I wouldn't say so, but I think I stayed around him way too long to have heard pretty much everything that was happening around him. But however, if the masses are hungry out of that, then it's, I get it. But I think dishonesty is dishonesty, no matter, well, first of all, I listened to Councillor Say Balazer on a number of occasions, and for full disclosure, he's my brother-in-law. But he made some very, interesting presentation on the cost, and the whole process to acquire insurance. If the motorcyclists are bringing fake insurance, I think the cost to them to do this is something that needs to be looked into. Do I agree that they should go and get fake insurance? No, I don't advocate for that. But I think just the same reason why we think the government should look into the price of rice. I think the tariffs that they put on these things, sometimes they make the whole process prohibitive. I don't know much about the religious advisors' motivation for taking these people money, and I hope they find a way for him to restitute it. But dishonesty is dishonesty. Except in the case of this motorcyclist, I think they should relook at the cost to acquire insurance. These people don't make that much money. I think they pay to the Minister of Transport, and then I think they have to pay something ECOWAS insurance. And other than when you total it out, it comes to almost 20 to 30,000 Liberian dollars. I think it's a little bit too much for them.
Yeah, but
Father Washington, this whole idea of because when the motorcyclist thing came into being, it appears like it was not well thought out, right? That they have to pay this, pay that, do this. It looks good on paper, but with the way things going now, there's insurance fraud. What do you make of this whole thing? Do you think that the government is kind of proceeding correctly with this? They are crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's.
Well, for me, I don't know what role the government plays in the whole thing about insurance, because
they regulate.
But the government calls for insurance, like we have our insurance now, vehicles. Yeah, there are different insurance. But I think what's happening like with the whole scam. I remember when I was there some time ago, there was just come a day that the insurance the transport ministry would just come on the main road, just block the road, and everybody wants to go to work. And then you find people standing on the side, they call themselves insurance people. And then you go to them because you want to go to work or you want to go to town. And then you, instead of paying, if it's $150, you pay $50 just to get that sticker. You get that sticker and you go for a day. But in actual sense, that's not even the amount for the insurance. And when I listened to one of the motorcyclists the last time, he was saying that when they asked him how much was the insurance, he said it was $130.
Yeah.
But then somebody said that they were going to give it to him for $49. So people, they're like, okay, you don't want to do the right thing, but at the end of the day, somebody's going to scam you. And for me, I think, why should it be the motorcyclist who's paying for the insurance? Well, what happens to the owners of the motorcycle? Except they are the ones who have it. But if I'm not the one who has the motorcycle and I'm riding for somebody who has the motorcycle, they should be the one to pay for the insurance. And the essence is that you're supposed to benefit from your insurance. The insurance is for you, so that when something happens to you, you can benefit from insurance. So, is that something?
Let me chime in, Mr. John. I got a little idea of this thing here. This whole insurance thing in Liberia is a scam. I have insured a couple of cars. They have some legitimate companies in Liberia that do insurance, and they have a whole lot of people there who would issue insurance paper but not valid. So when you want to bypass the law, and when the law requires that you have insurance, you have a choice. You go to the legitimate people who will be more costly, or you go on the side. You go to the people on the side. So if you take that risk and you go to the people on the side, and they want to stop you and you don't have legitimate papers, this is the consequence of that.
But Jimmy,
it's been going on a long time. This is not just now. It's just that the motorcycles are being affected now.
If you take that insurance on the side, you still have to go back to the transport ministry because they need that to give you your final.
That's correct.
So why the transport ministry is not detecting that as well?
The cold water. It's not that. It's all about exchanging money and money exchanging hands and bending the rules. I agree with Father Washington in that when it's a good thing that they're imposing insurance on the motorcyclists. So it's a good thing, but it should have examined it a little deeper. Can they afford it? Do the insurance companies cover? That's the other thing. Insurance companies don't cover accidents much. You will pay that money, but when the time comes now, if somebody is in an accident with you and they make a claim, go find out, go get that money from the insurance company. It needs to be revisited, and it's a march toward the right direction, but it's not thorough. Again, we can't do things superficially. We have to look deep in it and find out how we can fundamentally change the system so that it works. It's affordable and that it works.
To come in to protect the people. When you give your money to insurance company, the government should protect your money.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Those who are involved in the ministry who allow them to present false or fake insurance should be disciplined. But they will not do it. That's how you do it. You get a man and stamp, and the man give you fake insurance. Go home small. Go cool down a little bit. Maybe you would think about it. But we do not institute punitive actions against these things so nothing happens. It is as simple. All of us, we have come here, we get in trouble with the law. You make a traffic violation. When they slap one fine on you, you would come to yourself. But we don't do it. And so how will we rectify all the things that go on in our country? You know?
Attorney Fremont, that's where I'm coming to you now. Are we, a few years ago, it was a lot of passport scandal. Now, this scandal, I gave you a list of other stealing that have been going on. Are we getting to a place now? I mean, and someone will tell you, well, these things happen everywhere. These things have been happening. But are we coming to a place where, we're going to really get on the mount for being this kind of scandals, things that we used to hear far off from Liberia? Are we getting to that point that scandal has been institutionalized, even to sometimes concession agreements, and there are all kinds of things going on? Is that where we are now?
We are already at that point, Dennis. I mean, right now they are discussing that somebody fingered the national budget. Have you heard that? The budget, yeah, you heard it. We're already at that point. Because when you have a long history of people committing crime and not paying the price, you get to the point where people feel that there's no problem with committing crimes. I mean, it's just another day. And when you see, because it starts from the top, as you see people committing crimes at the top, I mean, just the other day, we're all furious with the inauguration committee and what did Bwaka do. Bwaka congratulated her and told her she did a very good job. So when you start doing those kinds of things, you are institutionalizing fraudulent activities. So I wouldn't be surprised if from the top to the bottom, you can go to a government agency and they issue you fake papers. By right, the police will arrest all the people from the motorcyclists who made a complaint all the way up the chain. But will it happen? No, it will not happen, because in Liberia we have like made that commonplace that it's just another day and nothing is wrong with it. From the top to the bottom, everybody is committing crimes and getting away with it. And so it's a big problem, but it's really not going to be solved anytime soon. Starting with the voters who look at people who are being indicted, they are alleged criminals, they vote for them. Starting with the very president who signed political agreement with people who are indicted. Starting with all this corruption that going on, and they reappoint the same people. So we have lost our morals as a state, and that is why you see these things creeping into every sector of the society.
And Aliyu, I want you to come in on that one, because even we're not holding people accountable that much. Remember when Yeke Koluba came with this voucher story, and remember when President Bwaka donated in the gas incident. And then he was asked where you got the money from, and it was like, okay, don't ask him, you're not baby.
Yeah, Bwaka that baby.
Right. So are we to the point of not holding people accountable, and this is festering this kind of behavior?
Daniel, first of all, I went in the back to make a phone call. Let me clarify something. I was just speaking with my friend on the phone, the lady I was talking about who receives alimony. She was granted alimony on divorce as one of her awards. One, she wasn't working, she was a stay-at-home mom. The regulation there is she loses her alimony if she goes back to her husband. She loses her alimony when her daughter turns 18. She loses her alimony if she gets married. She loses her alimony if she gets a job that is well paying. So you can be divorced and get alimony. Okay, so let's talk about this transportation thing here, the insurance thing. First of all, on behalf of the minister, Minister Salif, he came and made a public announcement. The Ministry of Transport no longer does business on the sidewalk. If you do business with pedestrians, whatever losses you may incur, you're on your own. For me, that was sufficient for me. When I sent my young lady to insure my car, first of all, she went to the insurance company, got her paper, and walk straight into the Ministry of Transport. Insurance is not sold on the sidewalk where you can be encouraged to buy insurance on the sidewalk, but you don't pay for insurance on the sidewalk. You actually have to go to the insurance company to pay for it. So if you do everything on the sidewalk and you lose, that's fine. The issue with Freeman and Walker, I don't know what is the precipitating factor that got him so much argue when he hear the name Joseph Walker. But none of these things actually applies to Joseph Walker. Scammers are everywhere. Sometimes I receive up to 9 calls a day. Luckily for me, my phone tells me that these are scammers. So for that reason, I just go on by Joe Biden and just start causing him, just start shooting him because scammer called my phone. I'm not understanding Freeman. The issue of what happened during the fire thing in Bond County, Joseph Burker gave money, donated money to the people of Bond County before he became president. Okay? So let's just assume Joseph Burker was president when he made that donation. There are budgetary allocations for Joseph Burker to do that.
He was not president. They were asking for the source of the money.
Yeah, but
it's part of Liberian law. It's part of Liberian law. Under the money laundering law, as a public official, and that is inclusive of people in the high ranking of political parties, they are subject to disclosure.
Freeman, you don't know law. I can guarantee you that you don't even know law. Normally, I don't argue professional people, but I can tell you clearly, you don't know law. Joseph Walker was not a government official. He was pending. Not a government official.
You don't even know what you're talking about. I'm a certified financial crime specialist.
Well,
financial in America, not in Liberia. I'm a certified financial crime specialist. And I'm telling you, it's under Liberian law, not just American law.
For some reason,
so you don't know what you're talking. So you listen to me on financial crimes. I am an expert on financial crimes. You need to get corrected. I'm the most expert on financial crimes. I work in the sub-region across the West African sub-region. You don't know what you're talking about.
Khalil, can you go to the issue with?
Yeah, but I have to correct you. You know what you're talking about.
They got that whole credential. But let me just say this:
these things are not joke, you know. So you can question his credential. You can
no position. You're in no position. You probably don't even have anybody in Liberia qualified as me as far as financial crime is concerned.
Calm down. When you say financial crime, that means you have already run out of verdict. But anyway,
Ali, please conclude. We have
just say what you want to say.
Let me conclude on what I was about to tell you here. Joseph Burker committed no crime. You see, one of the things our mad politician, quote unquote, people of certain whatever they claim to themselves, is they do not utilize the legal system in the country. A private citizen can sue Burger. A private citizen can take Burger to court. Why haven't you gone to court since you believe that you committed financial crime? And you're a financial crime expert.
He didn't say that, Leo. Nobody said he committed financial crime.
No, but he want to exercise.
You told me that I don't have the qualification, so I'm telling you what the qualification is.
You know the problem when you hear Burger, you get sick. I don't know why. What did he do to you?
All right, let's move on. Let me bring in Glendy. I want to hear Glendy on this on the insurance case and the overall, is this a breakdown in our system? I just got a text here. It said, well, is it are Liberians simply corrupt, or is it government that gives them the possibility to steal? I mean, stealing is just too much, Glendy.
What can I say, Dennis? I mean, the thing is blatant. Did they make any preparation? Did they check the process? What was the process supposed to be? How is it that people go and pay their money and then you find out in the end that these are not credible? There wasn't a credible insurance. This was fraudulent. It's all with what we've been saying over and over. It's all within the planning. Who checked it? Who insured? And I almost want to agree with the president. It's like the government is aiding and abetting criminals or criminal acts. This is wrong. What else can I say? It's blatant. How they plan for the process and say they should register and get insurance, and then the people go to get insurance, and you find out that what they got was not legitimate. There's no way you can cover this up. There's no way to cover it up.
They got it at their own risk, right? They went on the sidewalk, as Ali said.
Well, who is that not where the government told him to get it?
No, they went to transport
No.
ministry, and then there's someone in transport say, "Hey, go outside." So they had the insurance company had their agents all around the place outside of the transport ministry, right? Some legit and some maybe not legitimate.
So this is the thing. That's why if the process was streamlined, there would be one place where the government would have said, "This is where you go to get the insurance."
People
It's
always
like
want
it
the
wasn't
easy way,
streamlined.
Well, even in the US, people they tell you they can do citizenship paper for you. They can do so. It's
But,
a,
but even at that, you still have the places where you know that the government identified that this is where you should go to do it, and you go there and do that.
The transport minister did that.
you want a cheap thing, man. So,
Oh.
I mean, I wanted to speak on
And then they will bear the consequences
I wanted to speak on
if
this-
that's
on-
what
on
happened.
this- on the pastor, or how you call him, a legal advisor to the president. Okay, something we didn't have the time to expound on, because us coming from that side, when I see something, when I hear something like that somebody who, I don't know what they call, religious advisor to the president, scamming people, it's just embarrassing and so sad. But that's the kind of country we have. You have a country where every zinc shack, the next one, there's a bishop. People, illiterates and semi-illiterates who just spend 2 weeks in studying Bible classes. They call themselves bishop and call themselves pastors. That's what you get. And scammers who come around and masquerading as pastors just to steal from people. So, and if you went to a graduate or a grad school, and their high school graduate come and stand in front of you to come and talk to you, will you listen to him? You wouldn't listen to him. So I see people kind of get by these people who have no credential calling themselves pastor after spending 1-2 days in a Bible class, and tomorrow, the next day, their pastor just going around just scamming and stealing from people. So this is embarrassing. That's why people need to make decisions and to follow these kind of people who are scammers calling themselves pastors and reverends and advisors. So this is very shameful, and I expected the former president, all the party, to be able to say something about it, and he said nothing, absolutely nothing about it. I think that you have said something about it, because this is a person who was advising the president on relationship matters. Today he's the one who is being, called out to be a scammer, taking money from people.
Because you work for me in the past, so when you commit crime, what do I have to do with it?
What you have to do with that's the same question when you say, why is it that this guy work with the president now as an ambassador, but now you're asking us?
That's current. That's current. He's currently working, but this is
the point is that this was the advice of the president. This one was associated with him. Now he's going to say, because whatever he might have done, probably, who knows, maybe he advised you in the past to do some of the things that's happened. So yeah,
that's a leap. Victor, let me announce that if you want to join the conversation, 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403#. Anything, Victor, before we bring in our callers?
No, I think I've said my piece on this.
All right, let me bring in our first caller here.
Elvis Morris.
Elvis, you're live. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Cha, and hello to the panelists. And thank you, Nostradamus, Ali Kamara, for really predicting. But let me say this. On the issue of, Mr. A.B. Kumar and his deputies, they were both wrong. I think the first guy, Caldwell, that came into the office and assaulted A.B., I think he left. So in a way, he was both obedient and disrespectful at the same time, because after A.B. told him not to enter his office with gun, he cussed him out and then he left the office. But Fatty guy stayed behind to argue with A.B. And I want to say this, we in the diaspora may not like this, but this is one of the symptoms of the hubris that we have in this country when we go back to Liberia. You heard Fatty guy talking about how he, like Mr. Josh said on the show, how he was better in the United States than A.B. Kumar. So you already have that in the back of his mind that he's more qualified, he has better experience because he worked in the United States. And he was challenging A.B.'s, capacity because he felt like he was in a better position working for the FBI in the United States. And as such, things like that tends to breed insubordination and contempt for the supervisor or the head person in these agencies. And then lastly, to this whole thing with LDEA Kebe, you know. The reality is, like Mr. Kamara was saying, and you didn't want to listen to him, which I think was going to be a valid point. There's traditional marriages, there's Islamic marriage, and this guy said they had an Islamic marriage through a imam. And in Islamic marriages, a man can tell his wife, talak, talak, talak 3 times. It means release in Arabic. It means I release you. That means to divorce you, and you're divorced. There's nothing the woman can do about it. So if he went through that process, he has officially divorced her.
There's a process. It's not just talak, right? You have to do certain things. Or go ahead.
No, but once he release you, he release you. He has divorced you. The woman cannot force the marriage. That's what it
the woman can force, but that's the last resort. So you have to go through stages before you get to that point.
So the point here is that I'm feeling sorry for this woman, but like people are saying, the president Boyka and the people around him knows the history of Magdalena Cooper. I have engaged with her on different platforms. I remember Ms. Grandy was getting mad at me for saying certain things about her. But I'm not somebody that hold my tongue. When I see people beating badly, I say it. And this very thing has come back to bite us in the rear end because this woman character is bad. She's done a lot of shady things in her past that's not catching up with her. And for her to be so close to our president, giving him advice in his ear, counseling him, and when she's shown such poor judgment personally, it's embarrassing to the presidency, and I think the president needs to reconsider her position.
Thank you. Let me bring in Bendu. Bendu, you're live.
Yeah, hi, Dennis. Hi, thank you for letting me in. I want to talk on maybe 2 things. First, let's talk about this Kebe thing because I'm a woman, number one.
Yeah.
Okay. The point here is not that he divorced her. I think the point it goes to the morality issue. And when we talk about affecting our country, that's one thing we need to fix. We see all this stealing going around because people have lost their moral beliefs and what we're supposed to be about. This woman was friendly with this woman. I mean, what is she telling our young girls? It's okay to love to your best friend's husband, to destroy your best friend's home. So I think we are looking at it from the moral part. And because of that, if she's a woman who loves Liberia, she needs to step aside. All right. The next thing comes to A.B. Kumar. A.B. and his best friend or his brother, they are doing family first. But besides that, A.B. have conflict of interest. A.B. have his private security. You know, all of that speaks to we're not ready to fix our country. We know in this country that we're living in, if you work in a place, for example, if I work in a hospital as a nurse or whatever, I cannot go and open another nursing care business because it brings conflict of interest. So AB, we heard that AB have its own insurance company. And now
security company, not insurance.
Security firm, whatever. But we heard that Fatika say when he got to the office, he saw people who he believed to be a part of the private security firm. So first of all, if he was bringing his private security to the government place, that's conflict of interest. That should be fired. That should not even be discussed. If we serious to fix our country, AB need to be replaced immediately.
Thank you.
Because he is compromising the security of Liberia.
Thank you, Benny.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your call. Flomo Livingston, you're live.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. John. I mean, good show. For me, I'm not going to talk on AB. Look, for me, those two that are done their private life, you know, what they want to do in their private life, let it do it. Like sometimes said, go to the court. I mean, shoot them, and that's it. You know, but look, Mr. John, if the transport minister clearly said, I think we should do our research before we be speaking on something like this. He said, go to the insurance company. If you go out there and go buy someone standing in the street and you buy a fake insurance, it's up to you. You can't blame the government. The government fake insurance.
That was after the fact, Livingston. That was after the fact.
No, why? For me, Mr. John, I'm not going to go website that the government can police to go to the insurance company and buy insurance or you used to do it. So you said a little different. As a motorcycle guy, you drive me around, you should know that when they make announcement, you have to register your motorbike and get insurance. So please, you ought to get legit insurance. Don't just go
No, the person who directed them is from the transport ministry and said, go out there. And then when they bought it, it went in to the transport ministry and they were able to stamp their documents. That yes, this is legit.
To be ignorant of the law, that does not mean you're not guilty. So, here you go register, if the person to the motor vehicle, whatsoever runs you to go to the insurance and go register, it's up to you. If you listen to that and go do it, you take the responsibility.
Okay.
So they have to learn to do the thing the right way. And the culture is too much. So, Mr. John, let's speak on this thing about the president. The president gave, and when our incident happened in Bon County, look, the president gave a donation. People say, oh, what we did, I have a million. She right, get your call back. Money be taken from the house for legislative activities. Why you done with that thing? Without asking. And the president did not have his own non-profit organization.
The president never gave plenty of money like that before.
Let me see the salary. The salary involved for 3 counties. You know how much people are actually cost? That's a lot of money. When you're not going to give that money, when you get a donation, you give ambulance to the hospitals, rural hospitals, insurance, so you're not going to give him, you're not getting to what cash. That does not mean you're not spending money. If you do that, nobody complains, but because you did it, right, people want to know when you took the money for. You have a non-profit organization like that.
Thank you. Let me bring our last caller here. That's Tavina Ko.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Tavina. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know you guys talk about much, but I want to address 2 things here. First, let me talk about the Mandela Cooper or Kebe, whatever the name, or Tori or Tora, whatever the wife or the other wife. I'm disappointed first that you're elevating this conversation. So let me just put that on record. There are a lot of issues in Liberia that need to be elevated. Then the people talking about gossip and all that. If this woman strongly believes that that she's still married to this man, whatever way, of course, her action or her path is the court. Social media cannot help her. Can I give her if she's injured, can I give her the help she needs? She needs to go to the court. Mandela is not gender minister, and I'm not a fan of Mandela. I'm not even friends with her. I'm just saying it. Yes, we want to judge and say, well, you know, that her sister and that her friend, whatever it should. Because of the culture, yes. Should you be loving to your friend, boyfriend, or whatever, your husband, whatever it is, whatever the story is? Typically, that's not us. But the man has already come up and said, I'm married to this one woman. That's my wife. Everything else don't matter. If she feels injured, and I'm hearing that she already sued in European court or whatever court, or New York court, or whatever court, let her take that path. But she's not fighting on gender issues. She's not gender minister. She's not teaching school or ethical, whatever it is. And she's married to this man. She's not loving to him. She's married to him. So the wife needs to go to court, and all the supporters and judges and ethical people, you know, the moral gurus, they need to follow her to court and help us and sending her kids.
Tavina, you say if the witch crying kill your baby, yeah, then you say witch doesn't exist. The woman is spinning the pea and she wants redress, right? So I think what's wrong with taking all of the above approach like she's doing?
I'm sorry, what?
I said, what's wrong with taking all of the above approach like she's doing now?
But the approach that she's taking for to come on social media or for you to elevate the conversation, it's not helping her. It's going to give her 1 week announcement or spotlight. That's all it is. It's not going to give her the relief that she wants. She either wants this man or she wants money or regardless. So you're not going to give it to her. Woman, of course, you cannot give it to her. It's clear that she's on a assassination path. So if she and let me go on record because I said it another show, I'm going to say it again. Marriage business are not forced. Loving business are not forced. Marriage are not forced. So if he came on national radio and said, I'm not married to you, I'm not loving to you no more, I got one wife, everything else doesn't matter. If you injured, go to court. So that's my take on the Mandela Cooper story or Kebe, whatever you are elevating tonight. Do you have a question for me, Dennis?
No, go ahead.
The next topic.
Go ahead.
The next is the issue of Fadika brothers. I think everybody has said it. I mean, we can stretch it up for the Fadika, you know, the gross insubordination and everything else, you know, everything looked like was a planned act to sabotage whatever way, whatever sabotage leadership. But AB, on the other hand, too, is not innocent. Clearly, he didn't exemplify good leadership or good emotional intelligence. That they need exercise, good intelligence coaching, or whatever you want to call it. So either one of them needs to go. I don't subscribe or don't like the idea where they're suspending people because we saw that in Georgia government. And sometimes even like well, we suspend and then they just nothing comes up. People were interesting.
What's the difference, bro?
For anything that's so delicate like that, investigation should not go more than 3 to 5 days. It's been a week, it's been today, maybe 5 days, and we haven't heard anything. Just had a day with the investigation on that family, and we never heard no hear of the report. And hopefully it's not the same, but hopefully that by Monday, President Buckheim will address this, and the report must be out, you know, sometime next week. That's what I have to say on this.
Thank you, Sabina.
Uh-huh.
Let's give 30 seconds to the caller. Let me start with Glendy. Any response to the callers?
None. No response.
Jimmy?
Yeah, I totally agree with some of the callers in that this issue has been brought to the forefront is a relational issue, and we've seen this before. It's not the first time. Are we doing this because a woman is involved? When men do this, they don't. I don't see them trying to shame them. What they can call it, a slut shame them. You know, I like to be fair around the board, but actually, it's not a good sign that we have people involved in scandal and representing us. We have to set example, and we are doing a very poor job. I think who was it? That was the counselor. We what kind of examples are we setting for our children to follow? That you can actually be condemned for theft and still be elected. Well, what are we showing? Do we actually know the direction we're sending our children when we do these things? It is a serious consideration. We are condemning ourselves. We are actually condemning ourselves to more and more illicit behavior.
Thank you, Jimmy.
You know, okay.
Thank you. Our time is fast spent. We'll go around the room to give our closing. Really been a wonderful night on doing this and debating. Father Washington, your closing.
Yeah, before I close, I just wanted to respond to one of the callers because I think that's the mistake a lot of women make. She's kind of finding my dad to be the one who is culpable or the one who is not living a moral life in his case, and she's leaving the man out of it. It's like, oh, she's taking her friends. Wait, is the man? Why women don't? We should go to the men. Why do they have to come to the other woman? And, you know, sometimes if your man goes out there and takes another woman, go after him and deal with him. Don't go to the other person. You know, I think that's what a lot of women make a lot of mistakes. They go after other women instead of going after the man who made a decision to go after another woman. But I think it's been a wonderful show, and I'm glad that we've been able to provide some information. And thanks for having me.
Thank you. Aliyu, you're closing.
Yes, first of all, let's just establish that Mandela Cooper did nothing wrong. Not morally, not legally, she did absolutely nothing wrong. Let us also clarify here that men get attacked the most because men are usually caught in the line of promiscuity. We saw Mo Ali, they destroy him almost. We saw George Weah, people damaging how you go to Ghana Bar House. Nobody can actually get evidence of the house he bought. And somebody says somebody commit crime, they elected, where our constitution is modeled after the USA. You can be a felon and be president of America. So all of that is a constitutional issue. But let me provide this information about a lot of people thinking when people say religious marriage anywhere in Africa, or Islamic marriage anywhere in Africa, it's just Muslim marriage. No, it's actually traditional marriage, and I went through the same thing. What happens is the imam just comes and graces the occasion or blesses the occasion. But it's the same thing like Dennis, in Sino, where your pa or your uncle go to the woman family and say, we want your daughter for our son, and that arrangement is made, and the two kids are asked if they like each other, and they agree, and it's family to family, and the imam comes and bless it. That union, you're going into that union as a wife with your clothes, and the goal is you're going there to stay. For any reason you can't fit in that union, the clothes you bought, and sometimes the clothes the man bought for you is what you're going back with. So let's establish that part. So it is, it is an African thing. It happens all in the Southeast. It happens everywhere in Africa. That's the customary marriage that we speak of. Now Liberia has passed a law that gives them a certain percentage. They're protected under the law now. That's why I got a certificate for mine. So if I want to leave, I got to give her at least 30% of my stuff. And I don't want to do that, so I better keep her. But then it has been a wonderful, wonderful show tonight. Mr. Freeman, Anthony Freeman, I did not mean to, call you a little bit, but sometimes we got to make this thing hard. The government of Liberia is doing its best. I have not seen in any history where a government comes to a country, a new government takes over a country that is almost dissipating. And then all of a sudden, in 4 months, in the process of 4 months, revamp that government, restructure everything, fix all the retrogressive things, and then move forward in 4 months. If that was our expectation going into the campaign, well, I got bad news for you. Doesn't work that way. This is not heaven. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for having me again.
Heavy. Did you say heavy?
Yeah, it's not heaven.
Go ahead, Jimmy, with your closing.
Okay. We are not serious about changing our future. We have to address the illicit, the corruption, all of these things first before we can begin to change our trajectory. And we're not serious about it. So no matter who comes there, I don't care. Just like what Mr. Kamara was saying just now, it's not going to. I mean, there's nobody unless God said come down from heaven. He will still have to correct the corruption before he can do something about it. And until we learn, until we get fed up and punish wrongdoing, we'll just continue on this track. That's all. I'll leave.
Wendy?
It's good to be on. The conversation about Liberia continues. We are all passionate about wanting better for our country. So all we can do is continue to be a part of that process. But it's been good being here, Janice. Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony Freeman.
Yeah, thank you very much. I feel like we have a serious governance problem in Liberia, and we take for granted these things. Somebody call us, they call and they're making the same waka that baby argument, that this man had money before. In other countries, the mere possession of illicit wealth is a crime. Even if you don't do anything with that wealth, just to be in possession of money that you cannot explain. And people are not asking Bwaka about something that is not under Liberian law. It's under Liberian law enforced by the Financial Intelligence Agency that I served as legal affairs manager for 3 years. That if you are a politically exposed person, you don't have to be a government official. Just the fact that you are in the hierarchy of a political party is sufficient to subject you to enhance due diligence measures. But a problem in Liberia is everybody is an expert. Now, I wouldn't come here and tell you I know every Liberian law. No, I don't. But I always emphasize the aspect of the law that I know well. I always emphasize that. So what people need to avoid is that, look, you will not be expert in everything. But in the area of let's go back to abiding by laws, and regulation. Okay, there's a good job doing at the DEA, but it cannot be by just one man showing up and all of that. It has to be by law and by regulation. And once we decide that we don't want to go by law, we don't want to go by regulation, you know, we just want to do it because we have gold and diamond, we have milk and honey to give to the country so we can violate the laws, we will always be a country that will be backward in terms of development. So I just want to leave it on that note.
Thank you. Mr. Nabe, you have the last word.
Yes. Thank you very much. A great show. You know, we started with the situation at LDEA. I think much has been spoken about it. The president has put Mr. Christopher, I think Peters or something, in charge. You know, I just hope that the real purpose for which this agency was erected, you know, will finally begin to be addressed, which is, you know, the proliferation of drugs in the country. You know, we're seeing our young people all falling victim. So, yes, I honestly believe the three gentlemen there, I think the president made the right move. I just hope that, you know, they don't come back there again. Let them go and try somewhere. With all due respect, I think they need to make it, you know, earn their living. I get it. But I think the kind of relationship that they established at the agency there was very toxic and counterproductive. The advisor, you know, yes, private life, but look, to represent government, the gentleman is an ambassador, sports ambassador. He is a role model. A lot of our young people will take after these people. What kind of message are they telegraphing to our young people? You know, you go and befriend the lady, you and her become friends, you become like a daughter to you, and then you turn around and take a husband. You know, what kind of
Sit down there.
what kind of message does that, you know, present? The Western cluster, you know, I'm just really kind of hurt and disappointed with the way it is being handled. I think, you know, this minimalist approach to every and anything in Liberia is very concerning. You know, $200,000 to $200,000. I don't even know if $200,000 can build a good bridge. You know, and these people are plundering and pillaging our resources, and the president made the right call in trying to bring them to book, and then they let them off the hook for $200,000 promise. I mean, you know, I really hope, you know, they will look into this thing again. And you know, I understand there's a mineral development agreement or whatever it is, but hey, if the people are not performing, which has been indicated over and again that they have not met any of the benchmarks established in this agreement, that's good reason to review the agreement and restructure it. You know, so I hope something will be done about it. But you know, this government, they're finding their way. I just think there are some things that are so almost obvious, and yet they're having difficulties putting their arms around it. You know, I hope they'll eventually find their way and bring the much needed relief to our people, because like we always say here, you know, if they succeed, our people, you know, succeed, and we're all happy. Thank you again for the show.
Thank you. You know, when these things are, you know, start to happen, we know that reshuffle is next, and that gives us the hope that indeed some of us will be going to sign up pretty soon. So that's the good news. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the show. We want to thank our viewers for watching. Always focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. At this time, we're going to close with our song to say, what do you think we elevated the Mandela Cooper story or not? Whether you believe it is private matter or public matter, we are all Liberians. What we try to do here is to do our very best to make our country the glorious land of liberty. Have a good night, and God bless you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.